I'm Annie and welcome to Grumpy Old Crone, where I'm going to be whinging for about half an hour about things in the witchcraft and pagan community that don't matter very much. So today, for my witchy aesthetic, I'm going to do something a little bit different, because yesterday, Mr. Grumpy Old Crone and I had a little adventure, and we got in our car and we went to Newark because a friend of mine had sent me something that said there was a new witchcraft shop had opened up there, and it's not that far away from where we live. So we thought we'd go off and investigate, and we had an amazing time. So I did a little vlog from the shop, and now the shop is called the Raven's Hearth, and it's run by the loveliest lady called Shanice. And if you are within striking distance of Newark in the UK, in the East Midlands, I really suggest going along to check it out. Once I've done this, I'm going to do a little haul and show you what I got. Okay, so we're in Newark, and we've come to check out the newest witchcraft shop in Nottinghamshire, well, in the East Midlands, I think, and it's called the Raven's Hearth, and oh my god, it's gorgeous. Look at this building. So we're going to go in. I've got to warn you, I've already been in, and the shelves are a little bit empty because Mr. Grumpy Old Crone and I just bought everything. Whoops. Look at all this stuff they're doing. Loads of stuff. Is the best vibe of a shop I think I've ever been in. You can tell how gorgeous it looks. Look, there are people looking in the window. People have been looking in the window the whole time. So we've got so much of this is locally sourced and locally made. So we've got pretty jewellery. Look at the little skulls. And so many crystals. Beautiful things. God, it's so good. Look at the little froggy. I'm loving the little froggy. Some super lovely wands, which I believe are made by Shanice, who's over here. Say hi, Shanice. Hello. Shanice is the best, you can tell, because she is crocheting. All the best people crochet. Beautiful crystals and artwork. Oh, look at this. Oh, I love it. And I would lie if I said I hadn't fallen absolutely in love with this glass dome skull. How gorgeous is that? I mean, all of this gorgeous stuff. This, it's just in the window. Artwork. Handmade jewellery. Candles, so you don't have to buy like 50 million candles. You can just buy one for whatever working you're doing, or buy a selection, so you've got some on hand for almost everything. I never have pink candles. Maybe I should get some of those. I will admit, I did buy a bookmark because I think they're glorious. Poppets. Look at the artwork down here. Look at the fox. Oh, yeah. And if we got smell-o-vision, you'd love it because it smells gorgeous. Hectic keys. See, another one by local artists. We love local artists. All ethically sourced as well. And all the wood burning is hand done. None of it is laser done that I can see. It's glorious. Small but perfectly curated selection of books with local author. Once again, loving that. Information everywhere you look. Wands, jewellery. I mean, look at that corn dolly collection. Oh, I love them so much. And they're just all displayed. Everything's displayed so beautifully. It's just like a breath of fresh air when you come in. I haven't seen these before. Hair falls. Oh, I love a good set of hair falls. Seen that. Oh my life. Pick a mix incense. Local art. I mean, look at these flowers as well. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Right. Poor Mr. Grumpy Old Crone, who's emptied some of these shelves buying things himself because they were gorgeous. Right, I'm going to walk around. I hadn't seen that one. Oh, it's like my kryptonite. Dead things and glorious domes. I love them. Right, I'm going to go around and look at the back room, which Shanice just showed us. So through the back here, we've got a back room, which is going to be stocked with kind of like bigger things. And you can tell these are the right kind of people because Vox Machina, we love it. And then through the back, they've got this workshop room, which apparently they've been doing tarot things. They're going to do sisterhood circles. But look at it. Oh, and listen to the sound. Oh man, I want to sing in here. Oh. It's so beautiful. Oh, and I just noticed the froggy cushion. More art. I mean, Shanice has only been open since December. So she's done so much. And she's already curating like a little community and getting people together. It's just, this is how it should be. This is how you run a witchcraft shop, ladies and gents. All about cultivating community. There we go. That's a nice. Oh, I love this place. I'm totally coming back. Totally coming back. So this is Raven's Hearth, and it's on Kirkgate in Newark. I'm going to leave up contact details and address details so you can come and visit this absolute gem for yourself. So how cool does that look? Right? Just the nicest place. So I'm totally going to be going back. The spaces that Shanice has at the back of the shop in kind of those two rooms through the back are just glorious. They're just, oh. So I'm hoping that maybe I can get involved and do some stuff with her as well. Certainly I'm interested in some of the events that she's got going on. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I'm really glad that there's a wonderful shop has opened up that's so close to me that I can get to really easily. So there's good parking in Newark, it's cheap, it's easy to get to, it's straight off the A1. So yeah, if you're within distance, give it a check out. Now, I'm going to show you what I got while I was there, because quite exciting. So everything in no plastic, all in nice paper bags. So the first thing I got, which I think I mentioned in the video, was I got, I'm going to have to hide behind, there we go. I got this glorious bookmark. I really love this, because I read a lot, as anyone on my Patreon will testify. So yeah, she got these gorgeous bookmarks, so I had to have one of those. But you know, it's only a little something. And then I was quite excited that she got somebody who is doing working oils. So there we go. We have got this oil. And this is an abundance oil with star anise, cinnamon, and various herbs, and jojoba oil. Jojoba. If you've watched Billy Connolly, you'll know about jojoba oil. And it's the maker's mark on it is the Desca Delphi, and I can tell you that this smells. It smells so good. So I'm going to use this for dressing candles during abundance workings. So I'm quite excited about this. I do make my own oils, but it's lovely to try out other people's as well. So yeah, and very reasonably priced, might I say. Very, very reasonably priced. And finally, I did get a bit spendy. Whoops, I have no regrets. Finally, this is kind of the thing that I got most excited about. I haven't even taken off the tag off of this yet, but I bought this. How gorgeous is that? This pendant. And it's got like little moons and a little clear crystal quartz, and this is rose quartz here with a little sun on it, and it's just so beautiful. And that, if you can believe it, $24.95. I think that's extremely good value for something that has been, you know, electroformed. It's all done in copper. It's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to wearing that. So Shanice had so many beautiful things. I really, really recommend checking them out. So yeah, I'm going to leave all the details so that you can get in contact with that shop if you would like to. At the moment, their website, because they've only been going a couple of months, I can't believe, well, not even a couple of months yet, but their website isn't fully functional yet because they're still building things and still getting stock in and building up relationships with suppliers and things. So, but that will be coming, she says. So for the time being, those of you who are overseas, sorry, can't happen just yet, but it will. And then you too can have beautiful pieces of jewellery and lovely bookmarks and so on and so forth. So there we go. That was kind of witchy, kind of positive bit. I've got another positive bit for the end, but that was my witchy aesthetic, and wasn't it glorious? So on we go, and we are going to go on to the meat and 2 potatoes of today. Now, there are several phrases that people throw around in witchcraft and magic circles, and sometimes I think these can be a little bit off-putting, and sometimes I suspect that people put them into conversations to try and big themselves up a little bit and make the person who's listening to them maybe feel a little bit small, which isn't cool as far as I'm concerned. Anybody who's being made to feel that they are not a proper witch, to whoever is telling you that, you are. So this is a great place for a little bit of a rant, okay? So sorry, not sorry, a little bit of rant about this stuff. So I've been quite open in the past about being a little bit gatekeepy. And I saw a really great comment. I wish I'd paid attention to who made this. If it was you, do please tell me. And I will credit you in the video notes because it was the best comment. The quote was, "There is a difference between gatekeeping and having standards." I bloody love that, actually. I really do. And I think that kind of sums up where I'm coming from, because I am who I am and I do what I do, and I'm very confident in that. But I think we have to admit that there are also out there people who have read 10 Facebook memes and done 3 quizzes that say, what kind of witch are you? And then spontaneously decided to rename themselves Ravenwing Dark Castle the Third Sorceress and Seeress of the Numinous. And then decided that that means that they're allowed to teach everybody else the amazing secrets that they've learned from Facebook. And frankly, I have no time for that bollocks. Really, no time whatsoever. Recently, somebody that I know sent me a link, and I would like to say that this friend doesn't, I don't think they've got any connection with this channel at all. I don't think they necessarily even know that I do this channel. And they sent me this because they thought I would be genuinely interested in this. Oh dear. And basically, what they sent me was somebody who had decided that they were going to set up and teach a course, because everybody and their dog teaches a course. And they had got a snappy name for their Witchy educational service. I'm not going to tell you what that name is because they need no more publicity, frankly. And they'd got some nice pictures taken of themselves, very nice pictures. They look very glam, lovely. And then they said that all you had to do was give them £70, 70 quid. And that for this 70 quid, you would be allowed to come into their private Facebook group. Okay. And build community with the other people in their Facebook group. I don't think they knew how to set up private Facebook groups because I could see there were only 7 people in it. That's not a community, that's a very small group of friends. But still, and also that for this 70 quid, you would be entitled to whatever teaching they decided was appropriate that month. There was no curriculum. There was no list of the subjects that they were going to be taught. All the person said was that the first lesson that they would be teaching would be on the pagan wheel of the year. Now, this, as an ex-Wiccan, started like one of those little muscles in my eyebrow going, because, and I imagine there's a few Wiccans out there as well going, because the Wheel of the Year is not a pan-pagan thing. It is a very specifically Wiccan thing that was... It is not ancient, because that's the other thing. They were claiming this was an old and ancient Celtic practice. Why are they always Celtic? I feel an old and ancient Celtic practice is what we say instead of native First Peoples practices on other continents. I just ancient Celtic. Anyway, but it's not ancient Celtic or pan-pagan. It is very specifically Wiccan and was very specifically built at the beginning and the establishment of the Wiccan faith. Now, many people look at it, and I think the Wheel of the Year is great, because it helps you navigate that whole circle of the whole cycle of the year, and I think it's great for that. And personally, it does have a part in my own practice, even though I'm not a Wiccan anymore. But it doesn't do anybody any good if you present this in the way that you have appropriated it. Now, when I say appropriated, I'm not kind of diving into closed practice and all that kind of stuff. I'm just being honest about the fact that you got something from another place and put it into your own practice. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've done it. 1,000,001 other people have done it. That's fine. There's a whole other conversation about cultural appropriation, but we're so not going there today. You have to understand where that practice comes from, I think, in order to be able to then put it into your own practice and give it some context. Okay, you can't just take things from wherever, stuff them in, claim that they're ancient and say that that's okay, because it's not, because you're missing out on all of the depth of this stuff, on all of whatever history or meaning or things that have been used to build it that have gone in. If you go to the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Boscastle, you can see a lot of the notes that Cecil Williamson made when he was working with Gardner, building all this stuff up. It's really interesting. There's a whole load of history behind it. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's bad. Okay, and I feel this really, really strongly. And I know the cinnamon thing. My manic cinnamon hatred, of people blowing cinnamon over their doorsteps on the 1st of every month. It's not because I hate it as a new practice. That's not it. It's not that I don't think you should do anything unless you can document that it's been in existence for 500 years. No. What I hate is the fact that people are doing it with no understanding, no sense of energetic purpose. I'm digressing so much. I do apologise. I think I'm also digressing from the digression. Anyway, but yeah, so what I hate about the cinnamon thing is the fact that people do it and claim a history for it that doesn't exist. If you want to do it, that's great, but make sure that you have got some energetic purpose behind it. Make sure you can answer the question, why? Why does this work? Not just, why am I doing it? I'm doing it. Because if you say, why am I doing it? The answer is because I want to, or because I believe it's going to bring prosperity into my house. Better question is, why do I think this will work? That's a better question. So why does this stuff matter to me? Why do I get so angry about it? And I'll tell you, because if you start to give provably untrue history to this stuff, then you make a joke out of all of it. And if we ever hope for paganism, in whatever shape your particular brand of paganism comes, asatru, heathenism, Wicca, whatever, if we ever hope to have parity with the big religious boys like Christianity, like Islam, like Judaism, then we have to be taken seriously. And why do I want that parity? Because, for a very good example, I had to get married twice. As a pagan, I had to get married twice. First time, Mr. Grumpy Old Crone and I got married in a soulless registry office, because that was the only way that the law would accept that our marriage was legal. And then after we'd done that, we then had to go and have our religious service, which had no meaning in the eyes of the law. It cost me twice as much because I had to get married twice. That wouldn't have happened if I was a Christian. I had to go for a general anaesthetic a few years ago for a hospital procedure. And when they were doing all the pre-op stuff, they fill out like their little forms. And one of the things they say to you is, what's your religion? And they've got a set of boxes to fill out. And I said, at the time, it was true, I said, I'm Wiccan. And they said, well, we don't have a box for that. Are you Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu? And they named all of these. I said, no, I'm Wiccan. And they said, oh, well, we just write it at the bottom. I've never heard of that, she said, and wrote it at the bottom, which did not fill me with confidence that if something happened to me on the operating table, that there would be a priestess there to usher my soul into the Summerlands. If I died on that table, I would have died as a piece of meat, not as somebody with a religious affiliation. If I was a Catholic, I'd have had the last rites. But no, that was not a thing that happened. And that makes me quite angry, actually. So to finish off on what I was saying before I digressed and then digressed again and then probably digressed again, was that this person who was selling their teaching, they didn't know that the Wheel of the Year was Wiccan. So if somebody on an asatru path had tried to book in with them to learn about their path, then what would they have known? Would they have known anything? Would somebody who was on a path about Icelandic magic and practice, or Norse Seder, or voodoo, or Santeria, or Anglo-Saxon heathen traditions, would they have known about any of those and how they are all different? I don't think they would. If they couldn't even get something as simple as the Wheel of the fucking Year right, how could you trust them to get any of the rest of that right? And yet they felt they had the right to charge somebody 70 bloody quid to teach them. I just think that's wrong. And it's taking advantage of people. And I hate it. Sometimes people want you to think that they know more than they really do, so they will start throwing around certain phrases. And this phrase is one of those that I have seen being thrown around a lot without any real explanation. And that phrase is raising energy or raising power. Okay, and it's not often explained, and I have issues with that. One of the things that I really detest at the moment is that current Facebook thing whereby people will say, here is a spell for blah, blah, blah. I don't know, making your cat come home on time when you call him, whatever. And what they will do is they will give you 4 lines of doggerel, if you're lucky, sometimes just 2, and one specific thing to do, like burn a blue candle. and say these rhymes of doggerel, where your cat will come home on time when you call him. Nah, it doesn't work like that. I think that's the equivalent of saying, I want to go to London, and so you get into a car without an ignition key, fuel, and in some cases even an engine. And then you sit in that car and you go, well, why am I not in London yet? I opened the door and I got in the car, but apparently I'm not in London. And I think it's the same thing. What you need is something to power and drive and steer your magic in the area that you want it to go. Because once you've got an engine and fuel and a key, then you can drive and you stand a chance of getting to London. You might end up in Slough, but then later on you'll figure out a map and how to read road signs and you'll end up in London eventually. Okay? Magic, very much the same. So the big question here is, what is the energy, the fuel and the ignition key in your magical car? What is going to get you from 4 lines of doggerel and a pink candle to whatever you want your end result to be? Because there is like this gaping chasm. And I think if a lot of people are honest, they know there's a gaping chasm in the middle there. They know there's something else. There's something that should be missing, because they know that just saying 4 lines of poetry and lighting a candle is not going to do anything. So the big thing we need to do is we need to power that car, and put the fuel and put the engine in. And the engine and the fuel, the engine I like to think is kind of like the spell workings. So if you've got a candle, it's the dressing on the candle, like my lovely oil that I bought the other day, maybe some herbs, maybe your altar space. It's the solid mechanics of it. But the energy is the fuel, and you need to raise that energy. So how do we raise it? And I think you already know the kind of energy that you need, the kind of power that you need, because you'll have been there, you'll have felt it. If you're a runner, it's that feeling when you see the finishing line, that sudden burst of power in your legs to just get you on. When you're really starvingly hungry and you've got a lovely meal in front of you, it's that moment just before you put the first bite of the really delicious food into your mouth. It's that feeling just before. It's that feeling of excitement and nervousness and just, whoa, just before you bungee jump, or the last click of the roller coaster before it plummets down. All of those feelings are power. They're powerful feelings. And that is what you want to raise. That's the power that you need. If you want the best example, although I'm going to have to talk in slightly obfuscatory terms because YouTube, it's the feeling that you get when you're making love with somebody or yourself just before the moment of physical release. It's that moment before, yeah? That's the power that we want. And you can get it from a load of different things. I mean, some of those will not work for some people and for others. Running and physical exercise, never going to work for me because all I feel is hot, fat, sweaty, and I really, really want to stop running. So that's never going to be a thing for me. But sound really does it for me. As a musician, sound, and sometimes the lack of sound, actually, there's a big East Anglian tradition of witchcraft in silence, which works very well for me. There's a tension in silence, and if you work in silence, suddenly making a sound can be very powerful. But as I say, I keep a singing bowl on my altar over there for just this purpose. And what I will do is I will use the singing bowl and I will get a tone from it. And then, I don't know if you've ever noticed with the singing bowl, but the longer you keep on, you start building overtones in it. And when I've got enough overtones, eventually what I will do is I will stop and I'll crack it, and I'll have a sudden ringing that stops the overtones. And at that moment, I've released that energy, and then I will direct it. So after you've raised that power, what you then need to do is So you've put the juice in the car, yeah, you put the petrol into the car. What you then need to do is turn the ignition key. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying with the singing bowl, I will strike it. And at the moment, because I've got a really lovely wand, I tend to strike it with my wand because it's a very substantial wand built for this very purpose. So I'll raise the energy, put down the singing bowl beater, pick up my wand, bang, get that sudden shocking tone. You can also get it if you're using sound by screaming, by shouting, by clapping is really, really good. Clapping is very energetic and also doesn't make you sound weird if you're in a house full of other people. A couple of claps, most people will ignore that. So with me and my singing bowl, hit it, sudden tone, and then I will sweep that energy, because a wand is a pointing instrument, I will sweep that energy into my working, which for me very often is candles or pieces of paper or a small fire, something like that. And I will sweep that energy in there and I will keep whatever I am pointing with. And in the past I've used other things. I'm using my wand now because I have it, but before I have used my athame, I have used selenite sticks. I've used, my fingers. Very good. So once you've done that, hit, clap, what have you, and then sweep that energy into your working. Point to it and feel the energy moving out of the air through you, down through your hands into your working. And at that point, when you're directing it, that's the steering wheel of your car. And you're on your way to London. Okay, off it goes. So you've raised your power, you've directed it, and it's working into your spell. And at that point, your spell should be working. If it's not, what you need to do is write down what you've done, and the next time you do something similar, do it slightly differently. Use a different pointing implement, use a different method of raising energy. Maybe try clapping, maybe try and listening to loud music, maybe try stamping up and down, maybe try dancing's excellent. Whatever moves you, try that and write down how that works, how that feels in your notebook, book of shadows, grimoire, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, just make a note of it. Before I finish this part, and there's been quite a lot of it, so I apologise. But before I finish this part, I do want to do a quick public safety announcement thing. And that's about the fact that sometimes you can't channel all of the energy that you raise. And when that happens, you need to know how to ground and centre yourself. So I will do a video on this at a later point. However, in the short term, grounding and centering is another thing that you'll hear people saying a lot, because it's one of those basic practices that we really all should be doing. So basically, it's as simple as you need to be in contact with the earth, with the ground, or with something that's in contact with the earth without kind of rubber, plastic, man-made things between you and the earth. Put your hands down and send any energy that is in you down into the earth, through the walls, through the foundations, through the floorboards, what have you, all of them natural things. Let it go. Let all of that energy sweep out of you. Take a deep breath. Let it all go. And then lift your hands, come back to the present, go eat something. There's a reason why witches have cakes and wine, and this is it, because you need to build up your energy afterwards. So there you go. That's how you do it. I've got a lot more to say about this subject, because this whole interesting subject of power and using it, and internal, external power and raising, was brought up on, I think it was Patreon, in a conversation with Amber Sage. And I want to get to Amber's question, but I needed to say all of this stuff first, so there's some context for Amber's question. So I am getting to you, Amber, don't worry. I know this was a lot of waffle and I apologise for that, but I'm absolutely getting to what we were talking about, because that's really interesting. So next time, hopefully, I'll have a conversation about that. Right, okay, right, that's enough waffle for now. I can only apologise. Let's move on very quickly into the positive bits. Here comes the positive bits. So, while it's still quite cold and grey and murky here in the UK, I'm starting to see the first signs of spring, which is quite cheering. I'm not really very good at being a human in winter. I think I'd prefer to be a hedgehog, although I don't want to eat slugs, as anybody on Patreon will attest. Yeah, my last video there, all about slugs. But however, I do like the idea of being able to roll up into a spiky ball and have people that I don't trust or like leave me alone. I think that's quite a nice idea. And sleeping, a lot of sleeping. Nice. Anyway, I have been trying to shake out those winter blurs a little bit, and on Friday, Mr. Grumpy Old Crone and I went out. It was Valentine's Day, but that's not why we did it, because we went with my daughter and her family as well, and we went up to Lincoln Cathedral to see a sound and light installation called Luxmuralis, which is beautiful, and it's like they lit the whole of the cathedral, and like these huge like shaking sound installations. The ground was almost moving with it at times. It was very visceral, amazing. It's touring all around the country to various big buildings, a lot of them cathedrals, and it's a really interesting way to experience a cathedral when you don't actually vibe with the faith. So I loved it, and I really recommend going along. If you are on my Patreon, then I have put up a link to that on some of the tiers. So there's that. As per the beginning of this video, we also went off on Saturday to go and see the witchcraft shop in Newark. And while we were in Newark, we made a day of it. And we went to see the Civil War Museum, which was great. I got very excited because they have an actual witch bottle in there, which I will leave a picture of. And the museum little catalogue card did also say that they were used against witches, not by them. So last week's video, totally borne out. Thank you, Newark Museum. If you happen to be in the East Midlands, I really recommend Newark, actually. It's a lovely place to be. It's having a little bit of a renaissance recently, I think. They've also got a really nice big old castle ruin that got ever so slightly slighted by Oliver Cromwell during the Civil War. Yeah, there's lots of little places to visit and have an explore, nice market. So yeah, go along, enjoy it. I liked it a lot. And make sure you visit the Raven's Hearth because it's the bee's knees. I really liked it. And as I mentioned in my socials last week, I was away last weekend at a music weekend, although I did pretty much no music, which is actually quite nice. And I spent a whole evening tarot geeking with my friend Chantal about, we both got decks that we hadn't used that much, and so we spent like 3 or 4 hours just going through the decks, comparing and talking and finding correspondences and things like that. And it was just the best time. So shout out to Chantal. I had an amazing time. Thank you very much. It's really nice just to sit down and geek about things that you're absolutely fascinated by. I think that was good. So all of that being said and done, I'm going to go and leave you with some pictures of winter aconite and snowdrops in my local park, just as a sign that spring is on its way. Come on, spring equinox, we're ready. Bye.